I am excited as punch to be able to talk to Robert Davi. And they're trying to get old Peter here to take a seat. So, okay, let's do that. Let's go ahead and bring Roger Homefield back in here. And I think we might have... There he is. Wow. I am underdressed. I am underdressed. I cannot wait to get you on screen here. Robert Davi is going to be with us here in just a few moments, and I am looking at him on our Skype camera, and holy smokes, you have got to see the video of the legendary tough guy Robert Davi today. Look at that. In all his frickin' glory. Robert Davi is with us today. He, of course, is going to be part of a huge show he is doing Sunday, December 3rd. It is going to be Boca Black Box presents Davi, My Kind of Town. And the amazing Robert Davi, the legendary tough guy, is with us today. And he is going to be taking your breath away in this passionate, celebrity-centric day. 2 performances, Sunday, December 3rd, 3 and 7. If you want to get tickets, 561-483-9036. And the legendary Robert Davi joins me and the fantastic Roger Homefield today here on our big program. So, Robert, first of all, as I always ask everybody, tell me about your outfit. For the people that are watching us on Skype, the hat, the shirt, the whole 9 yards. Talk to us a little bit about it there, brother.
Well, I'm just here in southern Florida, just relaxing, and in the little overcast, and here just a nice regular kind of a Jam's World Hawaiian shirt with a little color to it, and
yes,
you know, just the hat is a Panama hat.
I'll tell you,
it's almost like a you know, it's appropriate for Florida. And
yes,
it makes a nice image.
Well, you have done a little bit of everything. You're an award-winning actor, director, singer. You've got over 10 major films under your belt, and Boca Raton is where you're going to be. Tell us about this performance, because this is going to be amazing. Talk to us a little bit about this that you're going to be doing December 3rd, Robert. Tell us a little bit about this.
You said 10 major films. I've got 170.
Well, I'm reading the press release.
10 major films. Who the hell put 10 major films? More than that, the first year I acted in, I forgot. No, I'm kidding, but 10 major films. I mean, you're just counting the ones that are, you know, epic, and not only that have an also epic sensibility.
That's right.
Anyway, yeah, so December 3rd is going to be... I've been singing. My album went to number 6 on Billboard Jazz.
Yep.
It was called Davi Sings Sinatra. Now, I did my first film, Jiggy, with Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
And in 1967.
Yep.
And a friend of mine, or became a friend of mine, and I studied opera as singing, you know, concurrently as I was acting and studying acting and in college and the rest of it, and with Adler and the Actor Studio. And I directed a film in 2005, 2007 called The Dukes, where I sang one song.
Yep.
And I was encouraged by people, and you should start singing, you should sing. And I wanted to do an album that I felt there was no one, a lot of terrific talent out there, but no one that had the film career nor the edge that Sinatra had with the American Songbook.
Yep.
I felt the space for myself. Now, since doing that, every Italian American and Jew and Gentile, whatever it is, they're all singing Sinatra somewhere. You know what I mean? So it's like, but I have the bragging rights of Quincy Jones and some other people that say, you know, basically, and even some songwriters like Erwin Drake, and a lot of other celebs that have come to the shows. But it's a unique experience. It's fun.
That's
It's fun.
awesome.
It's thrilling, and I love singing. And the show is going to be a tribute to the Great American Songbook.
That's
and also,
awesome.
Tom Bennett recently passed away, who was also born in Astoria, Queens, where I put some anecdotes, sing a lot, and people will be entertained. And I've been traveling the world to sell out crowds all over the place.
Yep. So we've also got my co-host Roger Homefield with us today, who fancies himself a performer as well as a political guy. Roger, I know you have got some questions for the legendary Robert Davi here.
Well, what is Roger perform first? I want to know about Roger.
Roger, tell our guest Robert a little
it's
bit
all
about.
in the past. Everything I did is in the past. But I played with Buddy Rich, Stan Kenton, Maynard Ferguson. I was a lead trombonist. And then I put together a musical variety act where I sang, and Clint Holmes got me to Atlantic City, and that was pretty much it. But I have to say about you, Mr. Davi, the first thing I want to say is thank you on behalf of countless millions of Americans that are so uplifted when they see somebody like you, who we've seen for years and years. When we see somebody like you come out and go to bat for America, I can't thank you enough. I love you for that. And I'm sure millions of people do.
Thank you, Roger. I appreciate that. Because as you know, being in Hollywood and being part of that industry for 47 years, how left-wing it is and how out of touch a lot of it can be, unfortunately. And it does affect one's, it can get punished for not having a group mentality, a group thing.
Yep.
I just have to go with my heart, and I have to speak out because I know there are countless people, as you said, Roger, that feel differently. And I wanted to be a voice for the forgotten man, so to speak. And it's interesting, when the forgotten man, I first mentioned that on Neil Cavuto. I did an interview with Neil Cavuto, who's a great guy, and this was in 2015. And I says, Neil, there are people out there that they feel ignored. They don't feel that they have a voice.
Yep.
And this is a year before Trump put it into his campaign called the Forgotten Man thing, that Forgotten Man theme. And so I just have a pulse on a certain aspect of what our country seems to be lacking these days and continues to be lacking. And I recently did a film. I was in Tel Aviv in Slovakia. I did a film about the Holocaust. 1942, probably the best part I've had in many, many years. I play an Orthodox Jew. Here I am, a Catholic goy playing an Orthodox Jew, and with the beard and the whole thing, about a true story that was the guy that put it together was a guy named Emil Fish, who's 88 years old, who went to Holocaust survivor, was from that town, Bardejov, and he financed the film. That Danny A., who I've done 7 films with, terrific director, Abekazar, and it's a very powerful film. And to think that we did this back in June, and then what happened recently, and people say never forget, and I'm seeing the amount of anti-Semitism that is on the college campuses, which I knew about from the 90s, and the growing anti-Semitism that's being bred by another whole generation. Not to get too heavy politically, because this is an entertainment show, but since you brought that up, it's hard for me not to talk about that.
We have got the fantastic, amazing Robert Davi with us today. He has got a resume longer than a Santa Claus Christmas list of everything he's done. Award-winning actor, director, singer. And December 3rd, 3 and 7 p.m., he's got 2 shows. You can get more information online, bocablackbox.com. And if you want to get tickets, 561-483-9033. 836. And Roger Homefield is with us as well. Roger, you got another question here for
Yeah, I
Mr.
do.
Davi?
Robert, I'm just curious, were you a singer first or an actor first? And how old were you when you first realized that, hey, you're actually going to make it in this business? And was the singing always about Sinatra?
No, no. Well, first off, let's put it this way. I guess I was discovered in 8th grade. I always wanted to act. I always had a penchant for that. I remember in 2nd grade, Miss Alexander walking my parents, 2nd or 4th grade. I did a play called George Washington Slept Here, where I played Sam the Black Butler. Not in blackface, but they grayed my hair up, and I had a little southern kind of accent, you know, about George Washington and his butler. And the teacher was walking my parents and myself in 4th grade, this is, out to the parking lot, and she was encouraging my parents to encourage him in the arts. He's talented. He's got something interesting. Subsequently, in 8th grade, I was singing in the church. And we heard a voice. The voice came out in me back then. And always listening to opera. Italian family, we had the opera, Sinatra, Dean Martin. You know, every Italian and Jew family loves music. We listen to the music all the time, okay? And families love music. People love music, no matter what they are. Anyway, so I was singing in the shower. I was also a very good football player at Seton Hall High School in Patchogue, Long Island. And I was winning awards for drama in the Forensic League. And I was, we thought I was going to play pro football for a while. That's true. But I was singing in the shower, and someone comes to me and goes, Robert, Sister Ann Joyce wants to talk to you. I go, please. She wants to know who's singing. I go, don't tell her it's me. She says, I already did. So I had to go to the door in a towel with a little, yes, sister, can I help you? She says, is that you singing? Yes. I want you to join the Glee Club. Now, back then, the term Glee Club was not something I really responded to. But I loved singing, and I used to imitate the opera in my basement on the old wind-up record players. Anyway, I said, sister, I'm too busy. I'm in the Forensic League. I'm in the, football team. I have too much. None calls my mother, and my mother then, pressures me. She goes, try it. You may like it. You never know. I then went to the class, and to be honest with you, there were maybe 3 guys and the rest, 15 girls, all prettier than the next. And that made me, perk up a little bit, not just on the field with a bunch of football players sweating, but here I am with these wonderful girls, singing in the school. And that kind of impulse to do that. And I won first place, New York State School Music Association solo competition.
Wow.
The nuns tracked down a voice teacher for me, who was on Bayport, Long Island, a guy that sang with the Lyric Opera Company of Chicago. And then I got hooked into that, and I wrote a letter to Tito Gobbi, who was the Marlon Brando of the opera world. I then sang for Tito Gobbi, and they got me a teacher, a guy named Dan Farrow at Juilliard. And I was subsequently then going to Stella Adler studio. I had gone to Hofstra University. I got my BFA there, and then went to Seton, went to New York, studied with Adler, got into the actor's studio, and I was working as a waiter, and I was working at a fruit and vegetable stand to pay for my singing lessons and my acting thing and all of that stuff. And there was this film Sinatra was doing. I was doing some extra work in film. I'd gotten my SAG card and a couple of commercials, Crazy Eddie and some other interesting commercials starting out. And I got this film, and the agent said, we submitted you. He says, but Sinatra's using all his old friends. And I said, well, where's the office? Columbia Pictures on Fifth Avenue. I says, I'm going to go up there. They says, good luck. I did, and the rest was history. I got the film, 3 months, Frank Sinatra, and they brought me out to Los Angeles to shoot for 3 weeks after we shot in New York. And they opened the doors for me, meeting agents and studio heads and stuff like that. And I was a new face. And it just happened quickly from there. And I've been, going at it, ups and downs, as any career is. And so that was it. It was concurrent. The acting and singing, Roger, were concurrent, actually.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just curious, when you come on the third, do you bring your own musical director or?
Yeah. I have different guys. My guys that are in L.A. are the same people Barbara Streisand used in here because we're in Tampa area, Florida area. I have these wonderful musicians from Tampa area, and so I'll bring those. I'll have piano, bass, drums, guitar, 4-piece, because it's not a, I've had 36 pieces. I've had 50. I've sung for 18,000 and 20,000 and 6,000 people. But this is a smaller venue, and I like to do that hot quartet. Sometimes it's a hot 6, and it's jazzy and interesting and fun.
All right. So curiosity. So it's not going to be a Sinatra show per se. You're going to include that, but it'll be beyond that.
Yes, I sing other. I mean, Sinatra. You want to call Sinatra the Bing Crosby singer? Sinatra sang Bing Crosby.
Mm-hmm.
Sang Tin Pan Alley. Tony Bennett sang Bing Crosby and Sinatra. So you put your own stamp on the thing. As what the quote about Quincy Jones saying that many try to. What's similar to me, and I guess there is a Sinatra studied opera as well. And he was the first artist that went from crooning to singing.
Yeah.
Because he implemented the bel canto techniques into the singing, and as he developed over the years, much more dramatic punch. And I call him the first method singer because he sang, there's a depth of feeling that you get from a Sinatra. You get great pianists, for instance, wonderful pianists, but there's only one Vladimir Horowitz, and Horowitz was an absolute genius, and he transcended emotionally, and same thing with acting and stuff. So I'm able to, but I tell anecdotes about my career, my friendship with Sinatra, other people, and talk about the music, because to me, the great American songbook is the Shakespeare of America.
The American standards, that was the peak of sophistication of music, not just in the country, but in the world. And it's kind of been on a sliding pond ever since. So you're certainly right in the pocket of doing the right stuff, of doing the great stuff.
Well, when you think of it, Roger, just look at society. Let's look at something very simple. 1957, the song that won Best Oscar was a song called All the Way from the movie The Joker is Wild. All the way, right? Romance, love,
yes,
obsession. And it's all in the Great American Songbook. Everything is in the American Songbook. In 2006, the song that won Best Oscar was Hard Out There for a Pimp. And people want to know where our society is going and why is it going. So, to me, and because of Goonies and Bond and other films, an inordinate amount of young people come to my shows, as well as the people that love the standards. And they're then opened up to something that they had not experienced. And I think it should be taught in schools. And I think if it was taught in schools, we'd have a lot less division, because the unifying factor of the American Songbook, it comes from the amalgam of the American experience. It comes from the black jazz and jump blues artists, the English, Lebanese, American Indian, people that have been here since the Revolutionary War, and a large portion from the sons and daughters of Jewish immigrants. You could say almost without the Jews, there would be no great American songbook. But this amalgam, which translates all over the world, no matter where I go, Estonia, 6,000 people in an arena.
Wow.
Latvia, Budapest, Italy, Australia, China, Macau. I mean, wherever you go, people love the American song.
What you said before about All the Way, and then of course one of the more modern hits, and what a stark contrast there is. And then we wonder why we surprised about the culture. I always felt that, and I actually had a dream about following the footsteps of Stan Kenton, bringing jazz orchestra around different high schools. And I always was of the fervent belief that if you could get the kids in a decent auditorium with decent acoustics to listen to a great jazz orchestra playing a beautiful arrangement of Stardust, for example. And if the kids would listen to it, maybe have to listen to it a few times, but if they could get their brains to just process it just a little bit, these same kids would not be able to go out into the parking lot and beat themselves over the head with pipes. The brain can't do two things. If they can interpret something that's real, that has sensitivity, that doesn't mean not masculine, but you know what I'm saying, Robert. The real stuff. If they got to hear the real stuff and got touched by a live orchestra like that, I don't think that they could go out and be violent.
It changed Quincy Jones's life. He was a friend of mine, and he talks about the moment of epiphany for him, listening to these guys. And he went from maybe probably joining a gang to now becoming a jazz musician and learning instruments and stuff like that. And that's exactly the truth of it all. The truth of it all is if they were exposed, and it's a big thing taking art out of school. That was a big thing, taking music, art out of school. I think a big mistake, much like taking a moment of silence or prayer out of school, because it sets the moral compass of children at an early age unifying together, even if it's a moment of silence, and pray to whatever religion you want, but have that qualified moment of silence, and also the Pledge of Allegiance. We have destroyed this country. The politicians, the educators have destroyed this nation, and we let it happen, and it's the individual that's let it happen. And I'm afraid, it's like the centrifuge of a circular. I look at it like a giant toilet, toilet, and the outer limits of it are just getting sucked in to the cesspool of what they've created around us. It's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the society, you could say, its soul is defined by its art. And right now, our art, it's like you say, it's the toilet. The art's gone in the toilet, as far as, where it's come from. And so that makes you that much more important, Robert.
Yeah.
Well, it's amazing that we've let it come this far. And there's good music and there's good things that are happening. I'm not one of these people that don't listen to. I listen to everything. I think everything has a certain merit. But you have to, in society, something that's unifying. Like I said, it's hard out there for a pimp as opposed to all the way. And listen to Stardust as opposed to, the cohesiveness and passion that those jazz musicians can express themselves. Duke Ellington said it. Duke Ellington should be, there's been no big movie about him, but there should be a movie about Duke Ellington. And I think they talk about our black brothers and sisters, and I'm sure there's a lot of creative people out there that are missing the boat and are creating other issues for themselves because we've let it go.
Yes, we have, and it just seems like yesterday we were at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. The Buddy Rich Band, Count Basie's band would be there, and I was just very lucky to catch the tail end of that, I suppose. But I think it's great that you're out there performing. Now, I didn't hear where is the performance December 3rd?
Did you play with Lee Musiker when he was Buddy Rich?
Yes, I did. I actually have some anecdotes about Lee Musiker myself that I don't know that he'd want me to say them all on air, but yes, I know Lee Musiker quite well. And then I know he went on to be Jerry Lewis's musical director after Lou Brown passed away. So yeah, I knew Lee Musiker.
Yeah, Lou, when I go to New York sometimes, it's Russ Castle or Lee Musiker, who I use a lot of times.
Yeah, no, we were on Buddy's band together a couple of different times. Yeah, and a lot of great experiences. And the thing is, so few people. I don't want to talk about my end of the music. I mean, you're singing, you do it all, but instrumental musicians have a dickens of a time really trying to express and get across what they wish the public would hear, what they hear, and feel what they feel.
Absolutely. So you're a trombone?
Well, the career was trombone, yeah. The career was trombone, and then I won't get into a long story about my bent trombone and the chops you hear, but then I put a musical act together. I sang. Robert, I thought it was going to be easy to sing. arrogant jazz musicians think that singing's easy until they try it. And it's like, wait a second, this is like, just because you can phrase on the trombone is not the same to sing. A lot of good musicians really underestimate just how hard it is to be a good singer. And I had to work my tail off to get decent at that. But then I threw in the cornet, and I played violin when I was a kid. That was the show closer, Orange Blossom Special, and this and that. It was really a contrived act, Robert. I just didn't know what the heck to do, so somebody suggested I put that together. And the bands were ending. What I loved was playing in the big bands, Robert.
Where do you live?
Pompano.
Oh, you're in Florida.
Yeah, not far. So, where is your performance December 3rd?
Boca Raton.
Okay, yeah, I know it's in Boca. Okay, but what's the theater?
It's called the Black Box. It's the Black Box.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
yeah,
It's going to be
see.
at the bocablackbox.com if you want to get more information.
Yeah,
3 and 7.
3 and 7. It's my first show in Florida, actually. I moved here from L.A. after being in L.A. for 46 years. I moved here 2 years ago. And just acclimated. I've been filming different movies and stuff. And finding musicians that are local, that are great, because it's a different kind of music. People were recommending wonderful people, nice guys, but it's a different kind of music. And I'm, Randy Waldman and Phil Ramone produced my album, and Phil introduced me to Randy Waldman when I first started doing all of this, and him and a guy named Nick Tenbrook and another guy, Ed Martell, used to be with me. So had luckily a bunch of good people, and I did the last standing shows with Don Rickles.
That's awesome.
And he wanted to do a show with me. So we did Vegas. I did Vegas on my own. I did the Venetian, and then I did the Hard Rock, and then I did the Orleans. Me and Don did. I did the last 4 shows he did before he could not do the show anymore, standing up. He went into the hospital the next day. And he wanted to do he says, I want to give you this, man. He says, Frank loved you, they all knew. I never sang for Sinatra or anything like this. There was no reason. Why would I do it? Frank, hear me sing. You know what I mean? It's like crazy. But we talked about Gustav Mahler, and we talked about, symphonic music and classical music quite a bit.
You talk about that we lost romance, we lost these different things. We certainly lost our sense of humor. Don Rickles would have a bit of a tough time today, huh?
Don.
Everybody's insulted over anything.
All of those guys would go over crazy. They'd go over crazy. All these guys would go. And plus the talk shows even, look, there's some great talented guys out there. But back in the day, a Johnny Carson, he may not agree politically, but he would criticize even the people he agreed with. And he would call them out. It's like what happened right now. I don't understand how people can, all right, for instance, Gavin Newsom recently went to China. Now, L.A. became a disaster zone because of the homeless, terrible stuff, drugs, everything. San Francisco for years. And Newsom said he was going to clean it up when he was a mayor. He never cleaned up San Francisco. So Gavin Newsom goes to China a couple of weeks ago. And now on Wednesday, and he meets with Xi Jinping. Xi Jinping is coming to San Francisco to meet with Biden and Newsom on Wednesday. And all of a sudden, and he admits it, Gavin Newsom has San Francisco cleaned out. They clean it up.
Right.
They can do the, I don't know where they put the people, but they cleaned up San Francisco so they can lie to the Chinese president. And I mean, it's just so sad.
It shows they can do it if they really want to. If they really want to, they can do it. They just demonstrated it.
How can they not do it? It's like, I did a movie in 1988 called Terrorist on Trial, the United States of America versus Salim Ajami, produced by a man named George Englund, who produced and directed a movie called The Ugly American, who also was Marlon Brando's partner and Paul Newman's partner. Brando was in The Ugly American, but George produced and directed this. So he did a film called Terrorist on Trial. He got Levinson Link, the dean of television, the two greatest TV writers, to write the screenplay. They did the Private Slovak film, and I played the Palestinian, 1988, kidnapped by the United States government to stand trial for acts of terrorism. Now, I started to learn about it, because here I am Catholic, I don't know anything from this. I started to learn about, I researched deeply the conflict. And I had to, of course, portray from the Palestinian side. So I understood the frustration from that aspect. I also went to the Israeli Council. I went to the Museum of Tolerance. I spoke to many people about this. And so I've been hip to the conflict for many years. I also was in Jordan in 1994, and I went to Petra. I met King Hussein, the father, not the one now, the original King Hussein, and spoke to him about some of the issues. And my question, and I wrote an article, with all the billions of dollars we give, so many billions of dollars, and around the world, and the UN, it never made sense to me why the Gaza wasn't built up like a Disneyland. You have Dubai, you have all these beautiful places, Emirates.
Yep.
Why wasn't Gaza built up so beautifully? They could put the money in there. And people have said, well, the Jews won't let it happen. I said, I can't believe that. I can't believe that the Jews wouldn't want that area to be open and developed for the Palestinians. It's not. So people don't ask themselves that question. Why has not all of the money in America, the United Nations, everyone else, made a livable place for the Palestinians in Gaza so they can have commerce, they can have tourism, they can have everything they need and want to be beautiful? Why? And no one's asking that question today.
Well, because they hate the Jews that much. They hate the Jews that much that instead of turning it into this wonderful place that you're talking about, they really put all their efforts into fighting Israel and the Jews next door to them. And I think it's beyond the Palestinian strip of land. I think it really gets into the infidel thing and jihad and the caliphate. And I think that the whole Palestinian issue, Robert, is just being used as a spark to like set off worldwide jihad. That's certainly what they're asking for.
It seems to be. It seems to be that kind of where it's going, and what's, we've seen it for decades. That's what the overwhelming question is. And then how do educators at Harvard and Yale and Columbia and these other institutions, how do they justify what they're doing with the youth? And something, look, I grew up in the 50s. It was never forget. Never forget. And I figured there would never be any more anti-Semitism. You would live, blah, 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 blah. And having just done a movie about the Holocaust that hits home because it's about 300 girls that are going to go to Auschwitz, and my character saved them from going to Auschwitz. But eventually, but it's just shocking to me that we can't find a solution. And I was told that Clinton and Arafat, they had a solution. They agreed. And Arafat said, give me 5 minutes. They came back and said, no deal.
Right.
No fight, right? That's a story.
That's right. Supposedly they got like 95, 98% of what they asking for in the Oslo Agreement. But Arafat chose to be a terrorist and said, because if they would have had peace, hey, he would have been out of a job.
I don't. It may not have been up to him, because he said to Clinton, give me 5 minutes, and he made a phone call, and he came back and said, deal.
Well, they've been born into fighting against the Jews, and that's all they know from the time that they're first taught anything is to hate them. So how you gonna have coexistence like that?
It's and then you're having these. It's just we talk about climate change, new green fucking energy. Excuse my language.
No, you're good, baby.
And we want a new green energy and a new green deal and let's not eat but human nature is just as shitty as it's been for thousands of years.
Yep.
Where's the growth in that? Where's the energy in that?
Some people aren't going to like what I'm going to say now at all, but I find it like amazing that it hasn't been brought into the conversation, as they say, the elephant in the room. But when you talk about this rise of anti-Semitism, this didn't happen overnight. The rise of anti-Semitism is pretty much parallel, I believe, with the rise of the Muslim population in this country that were brought in by Biden Obama, not being vetted in the sense that are they Sharia compliant or are they going to be loyal to the United States of America, because they can't be both. Yeah. So it's never even raised. When you look at some of these crowds and the Palestinian flags and the Muslim garb, this isn't like an organic rally by regular American students. They're being led by these well-organized. They had these rallies planned for years, just to push a button, and they were already organized so they could just happen immediately. But I think the problem is something that people don't want to face, is that jihad did not begin or end on 9/11.
Let me say this. David Horowitz. You know who David Horowitz is?
Yes.
Yep.
Conservative thinker, was my mentor in politics. In the 90s, I would go to his lectures, his books, everything. He was talking about this happening in the university since the 90s, going in and exposing it and showing it and talking about it. He also wrote a book, as Oriana Fallaci did, called The Force of Reason. The great left-wing Oriana Fallaci, who then wrote this book warning, she coined the term Eurabia. Fallaci. And David wrote a book called Unholy Alliance. I don't know if you know it. Yeah. Radical Islam and the American Left. It's all there. Decades ago he wrote this book. It's all there, but yet we have this crucifixion of Donald Trump. We have this crucifixion of Donald Trump. And it makes no sense to me. I remember when the guy was revered, whether you like him or not.
I remember when he paid for Chelsea's wedding, and all the Democrats loved this guy.
I have friends of mine that used to go, I won't even say who or imitate them. They used to talk to Trump on the phone all the time. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, it's become. So this guy is really, it's. I don't know, guys. I don't know what we say.
We've got Robert Davi with us
Trump,
today.
No one's been persecuted more than that.
Well, one of the things, Robert, that I always find strange is there's all these people, and me and Roger have run into them on many occasions. They want Trump to go home. They're just like, he should just give up and go home. I think we might have lost. I think we lost our internet connection, or something.
I hear you now, G.
Are we back? I think we lost. I think we had an internet hiccup on our end. We've got Roger Homefield with us today. We've also got Robert Davi back with us. So Robert, one of the things me and Homefield run into all the time is we interview people on this show who they like that they're Republicans or they like the MAGA movement or whatever, but they always turn around and go, I think Trump should just go home. We just always shake our head.
Oh, he's having trouble hearing.
He's having trouble hearing us. Okay, it might be he'll come back.
I hope so. What a delight he's been.
This has been quite the treat. Roger Homefield, myself, and Robert Davi today. You should figure out a way to go to his. There he is. I think Robert's back with us. So there's been a lot of people that have told me and Homefield on many occasions that Trump should just give up and go home. And we always just are shaking our heads like, are you kidding me?
He's the only guy that. Go ahead, Robert.
Because the media pushes that.
Yeah.
You got a media that's pushing that narrative. You got that element in the GOP which is useless, and they've been useless and brain dead for decades.
Yes.
I met Mitch McConnell. I think it was in 2000 or whatever it was. Anyway, and I wrote an article about it on Breitbart. Not about meeting him, but about immigration. Yeah. I think maybe it was 2010 or 2009. I met with McConnell. I said, what do you think of immigration?
Yeah.
And he looked at me, and it was as if I was, I may as well be looking at Joe Biden. There was nothing. They would do. He did not even go, oh, yeah, we got to have a plan for immigration. I says, and I gave him a plan that I had for 2009 about immigration, and I got a dumb look from the guy.
Well, it'd be nice if they just brought people into this country that didn't hate America, that didn't hate Jews and Christians because of the complexities of, coming into this country with a predisposition of hating the very citizens that are here.
Yeah.
As you
Robert,
they all were doing it. Bush 1 was another one that they were globalists.
Oh, you better believe it.
Bush 1, Bush 2, Clinton, they all were part of this whole cabal.
Ever since 9/11, it seems to me that jihad was really covered up for. And you mentioned the universities before, and it can't go without saying that the universities took in hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in clips of 30, 40, 50, 60 million apiece. Harvard, I know, took about 40 million when Alana Kagan was the president of Harvard. So these universities that go, oh, what happened? All these rallies. No, they've been brewing in these universities because the money they got was so that the Islamic interests could have special treatment, have new courses, Mideast studies, and embark on this propaganda campaign that's been festering really for quite a while. It didn't just happen today or last year. It's been going on for years.
Yep.
No, it hasn't. As I said, David Horowitz has exposed that many years ago, and he has a whole thing in terms of his book on Holy Alliance, Radical Islam and the American Left. And we have more and more of it. And, listen, Obama, you try to give it, even what he said recently was off the mark.
Oh, God, was it?
Even what he said recently was off the mark. And, how do you, it's bad.
Robert, I got to ask you this question. Let's say Trump gets elected. I think he's the only guy that can really have the muscle power to turn things around. But my question to you is, everything is so complicated, everything we've talked about now and beyond, such as above that, the one world order and all this stuff, it's really dizzying. So my question to you is this. Let's say Trump gets in. I like to be an optimist. And my question to you is, do we have a shot? Do we have a chance to get this country back, to land on its feet, to keep its sovereignty so that we don't lose our constitutional rights, et cetera, et cetera? Can good overcome evil? Can America land on its feet once again?
I find that politicians are full of shit.
Yes.
And I find that, look, when Trump won the election, and I wrote an article the day he announced, and subsequently many articles, and you can go see them the day he announced. I said he would be the guy, and why, and this and that, and the other thing. And many articles since at that time, many. And when he won, the week he won, I wrote an article saying to him that hopefully something he would have heeded to. And the other thing that's arrogant about the GOP, the Democrats really, really pay attention to Hollywood. Yeah. They really pay attention. We have to say, because we understand society. But in the GOP, unless you're a big donor, they don't pay attention to you.
Yep.
They don't really come and reach out to you. They don't say, what do you think? How can you help us? What's your idea on messaging? And to see the prescience I had. Steve Bannon calls me one of the most significant unused members of this ever. Because he's read all my articles.
Yeah.
He was with Breitbart when I was writing these articles. Now what happens is, I said when Trump won, the most important thing you can do, and I quote the last part of Ronald Reagan's farewell speech. Ronald Reagan's farewell speech to the American people. And he even says it. I say the last part for the most important. He talk about an informed patriotism, how you change schools, how they have to learn civics, how they have to do this, how they have to read the article. And I map it out. And it went ignored. It went ignored, but not. And now, I don't agree with a lot of this stuff, but Ron DeSantis brought it up a little bit. Now people are, Ron DeSantis actually is quoting some of my articles because I'm sure they're giving it there. Because my articles were so effective. They were very effective, trust me. And they used a lot of those points. So somebody's saying, hey, take a look at this because and not to blow my own, I'll tell you a story why I know. How the left listens to us. I was part of the Creative Coalition, great group of people, arts in the schools, which I'm fully behind. And it's a lobbying. They go to D.C. and they have events and the create, but most of them are lefties. I was the token conservative. And there's a publication in the Washington scene called The Hill. You know The Hill, right?
Yep.
Every politician.
Yep.
So they said, they were giving celebrities, if you had 5 minutes with Obama, what would you tell them? And I did. Should look it up and read it. 5 minutes with Obama, Robert Davi. I talk about Israel. Should be held up as a shining example to the Middle East. I talk about education. Blah, 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 blah. And I finally say to him, President Obama, why don't you break with the tradition of just listening to people that agree with you and invite some of us to the White House that you don't agree with to hear what we have to say? I go, better yet, why don't you come to Astoria, Queens and meet with me and some of my friends to lighten it, to make it funny. Because Astoria used to be all Italians. All right, the article comes out on a Friday. There's a thing called the National Italian American Foundation that has a big dinner in Washington, D.C. 3,000 people, the creme de la creme of the Italian community. Every president came and spoke, and politicians and Supreme Court justices, big thing. Obama's not coming. He had not been to one of these meetings, never. And he was president already for 4 or 5 years. I write the article, comes out on a Friday. The dinner is the next Saturday. Obama's not coming because you need to have clearance. And they let everybody know the president is there next week.
Yeah.
On that Wednesday, I get a panicky call. The president is coming to the dinner on Saturday. Now, my ego, which is not too big, but it's healthy, okay? My ego says, man, did they read my article? That'd be funny. Come to Astoria, Queens, right? Because it's now the Italian thing. And I go, okay, well, maybe he did, and I'm at least feeling that to myself. Interesting. Saturday night comes along. There are 3 lines on the dais, on the stage. Politicians, Supreme Court justices, then celebrities, Sophia Loren, myself, and Mike Diaz, and then more people behind you. And we're on the stage, and 3,000 people in front of you. Nancy Pelosi is sitting next to the podium. I'm 3/4 down on the second thing, if you're looking at the audience on the right. Obama comes out, gives a wonderful speech about Italian immigrants' contribution and what they've done and the importance. And the people are standing up and, you know, giving a respectful response. And he's waving. And I see Pelosi turn around. Pelosi turns around. And now she's looking up and down. And she sees me. And she comes over. Robert, give me your hand. Over the font of this one, over that one, over this one, over the head to the center of the stage. There was no reason. The center of the stage, Obama's waving his hand, and you hear, Mr. President, it's Robert Davi. Robert Davi, you're a great actor. God bless you, Mr. President. So I know I'm not crazy. At that moment, I said, shit, I was right. I was right. Why me? There were other people there, Democrats, supporting Obama that were jealous. They were pissed that I was chosen. I got angry stares from God. Why'd they pick you? You know what I mean? It was funny, humorous. And
You know, I'd love to see a lot more of you out there, Robert. It probably wouldn't be the greatest thing for your show business career as far as the political end, but I would love to see you out there a lot to be a speaker, be a surrogate speaker, because look, the people love you, and it would really make a big impact.
They're stupid. They're stupid. They're stupid. And, you know, look, they're dumb. And I tell them they're dumb, so that's okay. It's all right with me. But in the meantime, guys, I have a 2:30 appointment.
Hey, that's fine. I have enjoyed talking with you, Robert. Before we let you go, the performance is going to be 3 and 7. It's going to be December 3rd. And Robert, thanks for making some time for us today. I appreciate it, sir.
Hey, I love talking to you guys, as you could tell.
Yeah, because baby, we only had you for 15 minutes, but we talked for I think 41 minutes.
I'm getting other people going, "Where are you? Where are you?" So, God bless you.
Thank you, my
Roger,
friend.
Give Roger my number so we can talk and we can keep this off camera. The next conversation.
Definitely,
That would be great.
definitely. I will
Very
pass your
fine.
information. Thank you, Robert. Enjoy the rest of your
God
day.
bless you guys. All
Thank
right.
you, sir. Appreciate it. There he goes. That is the fantastic Robert Davi. Holy shit. that was quite the conversation, sir. Wow. Okay. What did you think, Homefield?
No, I love it. I hope I didn't talk too much.
No.
You know, no, I loved it. The guy is a real joy. He's very genuine, and like I say, I've seen the guy for decades, but it wasn't until just recently when I saw him sing as a jazz performance. I said, "What the heck is that?" I couldn't believe it. And then when I saw him doing like a political spiel, I said, "Wow, this is my guy." I mean, he's he's terrific, and it's really interesting. You know, it's to meet somebody like that has been a success their whole life.
Yes.
That's why I wanted to find out. When did you find out? Like, I used to think that way about baseball players. When did you know that you were that good to make the big? So I asked him that, and he said, well, in second grade. Second and fourth grade is when he kind of knew that he was going to succeed and go in these directions. And he's such a delight because he obviously has not let the success go to his head. I mean, he's very down to earth, and the main things that matter still matter to him. He hasn't changed that.
Yeah. Well, that is amazing. Roger Homefield, myself, Robert Davi, heck of a deal. We're gonna have to do more things like this because I think that was fantastic. Well, Roger, before we let you go, run it down for us. How do we get in touch with you online and all the various places? And this is always the fun part for you.
I know. Well, it's just we don't have unlimited time. I'll go gabbing forever, but he was right all along at gmail.com. He was right all along at gmail.com. And you can go to YouTube, the parodies are on there. And I know we're just getting off now, so I'll save this next thing for another time.
No, I definitely will. I look forward to talking to you, I believe.
Thursday.
Actually, wait a second. I'm looking at my schedule here. I think I've got you again today at 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern. Because I think you're supposed to come on with Barbara Hansen, the child trafficking chick. If you've got time. If you don't have time, that's fine.
My printer doesn't work. I'm behind with my research. I haven't done the proper research.
Hey, if you want to do this, you do like you did with Davi, just off the top of your head, baby. I'll set you up and you just go.
What time do you want me to click back?
Let's see. I've got you. Actually, what I'll do is I will just call you on Skype. So I'll just call you, and then I've got 3 o'clock Central, 4 o'clock Eastern. So,
okay, 4 Eastern.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'll just holler back at you here in a couple hours. Hour and a half, whatever.
I just hope I do it right. In other words, the computer.
No, you're good. I will holler at you on Skype. Now that I've got you on Skype, I can do all sorts of stuff. So I will holler back at you, brother.
Okay, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah.
I hope we're not still on the air.
No,
but in any case,
we're good. I'll talk to you then.
Doesn't matter. Thanks, Jiggy.
I appreciate it. There he is. A lot of stuff to unpack there, as the great Conrad Thompson would say. So